We are operating on a frequency of 52 megacycles by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. A test program follows. To you who are trained technically, I need hardly say that there's still a number of problems to solve. I guess you know them as well as anybody knows them. But I think we've proceeded far enough to justify the statement, at least, that these technical problems are not insurmountable.
Onto the KOTE directory. That was a mistake on my part. I didn't check it was there until yesterday.
I did put them in the groupings as soon as they were done in stream, but I can understand.
Yeah, but so we would like to have some consistency here. So that they should appear this week. If they don't, I know what I've got to do. I've just got to go and fix it. And it's a 2-second job. So, shall we jump on to the slides?
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me just get the... making sure we have the right one this time. Alright, cool. So, KOTE 10 data breakdown, week 8. Comparing the sets.
Yeah, so I think this is now comparing all the sets overall,
Yep.
regardless of SAS.
Yes, I'm fairly sure looking at these graphs. So, obviously, the SAS is going to be a bit lower in Sun than the others, but unsurprising, well, a little bit surprising to me actually, is mass mutations on top. I expected to see KOTE up there.
Not so much for me. I expected there to be more KOTE brought at the lower SASs.
Mm-hmm.
Because even a low SAS KOTE is probably going to be able to hold its own against a lot of decks, apart from like AOA combo decks. There are some very powerful mass mutation decks that are low, like at 60, but you're going to be hard pressed to find pure raw power like KOTE in that sort of area.
But also the ARC of Vulnerable is so low compared to the Delta for SAS.
But I mean, you got to look at the average.
Yeah.
The average SAS of Dark Titans is a lot lower, which means a lot of the lower tier decks brought Dark Titans, so the ARC is going to suffer from that.
But also it means there's a lot more synergy in it.
Yeah, but ever since Age of Ascension, synergy has become a much bigger part of the game.
That is true.
KOTE is the top tier KOTE rush decks are just autopilot I win decks.
True. That is definitely true.
And again, that's KOTE rush, not KOTE combo, KOTE control. They're a lot more complicated to play. KOTE rush is just autopilot.
Yep. Why is that not rendering correctly? There we go. So the metrics for each set. So here we can see...
That's really interesting for the expected amber in Dark Tidings, almost matching
KOTE. Is it just because people aren't as comfortable with Dark Tidings because it's newer, so they're taking the Amber Rush decks?
I more think it's because of the way Amber Generation kind of changed in Dark Tidings. I mean, you got things like Deep Sea Gruin, which is like a fuzzy Gruin, but it has a condition to get you out of it.
That is true. That is definitely true.
So the drawbacks become a lot more conditional, and you've still got ways like Date at the Beach where you can still bounce units. You've lost Nature's Call, but with things like Witch of the Dawn, Date at the Beach, Resurgence, you've got a lot more ways to recycle units. And
the other thing, as Liptot said, is Worlds Collide, though it's considered a board heavy set, does not have the strongest effective power.
No, but you've got to take into account that Mass Mutation has got the giant creatures, so that's going to skew the numbers well into their favour.
That is true.
And take into account Worlds Collide being the more board heavy set, that's why their creature control is the highest.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true.
What's catching me is efficiency. KOTE being this low in efficiency when you've got Time Traveler, library access in KOTE.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Mass Mutation being the highest. Yes, they've got library cards, but I think it's mainly going to be the draw pips and the amount of archiving that's available there. That's probably going to be skewing that.
Yeah. So, looking on to the second actions page, look at the disruption heaviness in KOTE.
That's because Kota's got this.
Yeah,
Not,
obviously.
and not just any this. It's got Mind Barb. It's got Toxin. It's got Shackles, Arise, Ember subtle maul. It's got a lot of hand destruction. It's got a lot of ways to deal it. I'm surprised Dark Titans is so low, but I guess the mill cards that are in Dark Titans aren't as powerful as I expect.
Not even close, man. I mean, the lack of dis in Dark Tidings is the reason Dark Tidings is so low. That's not even up for debate.
Unfathomable is
good.
It is a replacement for Dis. It did its job. It's just not as good as Dis. Dis was definitely.
This is designed purely for disruption. I'll go as far as saying, Unfathomable is designed for a number of things, which disruption is one of their toolbox.
Well, that was just it. Dis in KOTE has everything. It has capture. It has steal. It has recursion. It has. It has hand reduction. It has amber reduction. It has a board wipe. It is a great all-round house, which is why this has been one of my favourite ones. And it has ways to punish people just for playing the game with things like Soul Snatcher.
Yep, that is true. That is true. But I mean, also looking at Creature Protection, World's Glide is so high, that's not too surprising with Mass Mutation second. Yeah. Possibly surprised Dark Tide is that high, but not that surprised. Recursion-wise...
for me, it's the fact that you've got some creatures that are upgrades, so that would count as creature protection because you can give creatures taunt, you can give them extra shielding. You've also got the introduction of ward, which AOA and KOTE didn't have.
That is true. That is true. And then look at artifact control. As I never consider World's Collide a particularly strong artifact control deck.
I mean, yeah, I think AOA is probably a bit stronger, but you've got a fair amount. You've got Hawk. You've got I know it's not one of the things I never consider because it doesn't really have great artifacts in itself, but it's great. And I do like that Dark Titan's second highest. Reclaim by Nature is a very powerful card.
Oh god, yes.
And that's why Mass Mutation is probably a little bit high up there as well.
Yep. So now we're looking at split by houses across the sets. Unsurprisingly, we see no Mars in World's Collide, Mass Mutation, or Dark Tidings. I wonder why.
We see a good chunk of Dis in every single one. We see a good chunk of the chunks of Starlines is very interesting compared to what we've been seeing in terms of over the quizzes. Shadows and logos very dominant throughout all 5 sets.
Untamed smaller for the middle 3 sets. No, I'm not too surprised by that, but it's still the amount it's smaller is what gets me.
No, that makes perfect sense to me. AOA Untamed is very weak. It doesn't. I mean, Heart of the Forest is a very powerful card, but the rest of the set sort of suffered for it. You need that combo sort of base. World's Collide again. They overcorrected from Heart of the Forest, so World's Collide was quite weak. And then Mass Mutation did get a big sort of comeback. Things like Volt's Blessing is really good, but after KOTE, World's Untamed has become a support house. It's not one of your main houses. Same like this has primarily been a main house. It's where your main strategy lies. And it's the same thing I've been saying about World's Collide Bromnar. Everybody hates on World's Collide Bromnar, but I like it because it's such a good support house. A good World's Collide list shouldn't dominate on its own, but it should provide great distractions and disruptions for your other 2 houses to take benefit of.
No, that's completely true.